So, have you ever been driving down a country road and seen an abandoned house and wonder what's in that house? That's kind of where we're going to go today with today's episode of Wednesday Grunge Play. And I am going to make a panel for a journal cover, kind of exploring um, an abandoned house. It's one of my fascinations when I'm driving down the road and I see these houses and my imagination goes wild and I think, who lived in that house and what kind of people were they, and why did they leave their house and what's still left in there? That's what I'm most curious about, is what is still left in there. So that's kind of where I'm going with this project. And so hopefully you will join me through this kind of journey into this little abandoned house, and we're going to kind of use our imagination and see what we can come up with. So I've got a bunch of stuff here that I'm going to be working with, but I wanted to talk a little bit about fabrics and the kind of things that you can be looking for to use in your journals. This, I am by no means an expert on this. I'm just kind of sharing what I do and how I find some of the things that I find. A lot of the pieces that I find, I go to garage sales and I go to estate sales, and I'm not looking for what everybody else wants. I'm looking at what nobody wants. And so a lot of times I pick up pieces that are stained or torn or whatever, and they've got a quarter on them or they've got a dime on them or whatever. And that's the kind of thing that I'm looking for. Like this particular piece, I think was like an old table scarf, and it's stained and ripped and whatever, and I'm sure I paid close to nothing for that. Old aprons that are stained. Now, you will find, because I'm an apron collector, the ones that don't have stains, they ask, a pretty good price for. But the ones that have the old stains from actually being used in the kitchen or whatever, they almost give away, and they're great for making, tearing pieces off of and putting in journals. Other things, little feed sack pieces. This is something else that, if you look, you can find fairly cheap, and rip those up and use those. Old, here's another apron that had just an adorable little print on it that, I have ripped up into pieces because it was stained, and I can use that in several things. I've got cutter quilts. Cutter quilts are quilts that are way beyond repair. They're very old, they're ripped, they're stained. People sell them quite cheap, and they call them cutter quilts because they, you can pull them apart and cut around what is stained or not usable and use them in other projects, and they're great for journals. You can also buy children's blue jeans or overalls. The pockets are a great size for journals because they're not the big adult size pockets, and they will fit on a journal cover really nicely, or inside to make a pocket on the inside. So I look for kids, inexpensive kids jeans that have been quite worn and whatever. Other things that I buy that are not old. This is just some cotton muslin fabric. You can find it on sale. And this is great. It tea dyes great. It coffee stains great. You can stamp on it. So I picked that up. This is also a fabric that I found that it was already grungy. They made it grungy. So it has a grungy look to it. I think I found this at Hobby Lobby. But, you find it when it's on the 40% off or 50% off, then it's, almost nothing. So I think I bought a yard of that, and I still have all that left. This was a pillowcase that I found, at an estate sale or a garage sale. Just a plain white pillowcase. It's great because it's been worn. It's soft. Again, it takes tea dye well, it takes coffee dye well, you can stamp on it. So, it also makes a great find for using fabric. Other things, lace, crochet doilies, lace curtains, old slips that have, lace around the bottoms. But I will say, if you get old slips and you get them for a good price, you might want to look up their worth on eBay before you tear them apart, because my sister actually, when she was selling on eBay, did very well with vintage slips. Both the half and the full, because a lot of people, especially the younger teens that like to dress in vintage clothing, they want the vintage slips and stuff like that. So you can actually make some pretty good money off the older lingerie pieces like that. Yeah, doilies that are torn, tablecloths that are stained. You can always tear them up, cut around them, that kind of thing. A lot of you, I'm probably not saying anything that you didn't know already, but if you're new to journaling or new to grunge, I just wanted to mention that. I think that's it. So that's my little tips for fabric. And you, like I said, you can tea dye that, you can coffee dye it, you can ink it, you can, there's tons of ways that you can, grunge it up even more once you have it. For my coffee or tea dye, I normally use tea because I don't like coffee. I put just a little bit of lemon juice in mine, and that does two things. One, it makes it smell really nice when you're spraying it on your fabrics, because then you get a nice lemony smell. And two, it keeps the tea or coffee from molding in your little spray bottle. Otherwise, you want to keep it in the refrigerator or it will mold. All right, that's it. So now I'm going to start my little, I'm making like this is the book I think I'm going to use for the journal. And it's going to be called If Walls Could Talk. And this is the panel that I'm going to put on top. And I have cut it to go just inside. There's some little embossed edges on this book. And I have cut it to go just inside those little embossed edges. And it's just now a file folder. So we're going to start by using some digitals that are like worn wallpaper and wood grain and that kind of thing. And I also have some Tim Holtz papers. And what I want to create for my first part is I want to make it look like the wall inside of the house. Because in my mind, when you walk inside an abandoned home, you're going to see old wallpapers and that kind of thing on the wall, and you're probably going to see several layers. And so I am going to try to recreate that several layers, like somebody has come in and ripped part of it off. And I'm going to start with this digital by Amy at Crafty Cat, and it is called Alaskan Wallpaper. She took this photo of it was actually a brothel that she visited when she was on her Alaskan cruise. Although we did not go at the same time, I went to the same brothel and saw this, and it was amazing. So I want, for this particular one, I want kind of this linen piece, and I want this wood. So I'm going to be tearing it down. If I can find my tear ruler, there it is. So that it kind of fits this middle part. In particular, this side. I think it'll move it over just a little bit this way. Do I even have that even? Now, I don't care if it's exact. I mean, I'm going for grunge, right? Get my card lined up kind of straight here. Okay, so that is my first layer. Okay, then in my mind, the next thing that you're going to see working from the wood up is you're probably going to see some kind of newspaper that they've put on there for insulation purposes. So I've got this scrapbook paper that kind of looks like newspaper, and I am going to put it on kind of like this. Actually, I probably want to move that over a little bit so I can get on my layers. And then you're going to probably see a layer of wallpaper. So we're going to put a layer of wallpaper. And then you're probably going to see another layer of wallpaper. So we're going to put another layer of wallpaper. And then my guess would be that there's probably going to even be another layer of wallpaper. So we're going to put another layer. And when I glue these down, this will be a whole lot easier, but I just wanted to kind of give you the idea of where I was going with this. And then, let's see. Alright, so there is our base. And we're going to grunge this up. And get it all glued down. So I'm going to use Image Photo, and I'm just going to ink it. I'm going to roll the edges, crinkle up the edges, and just really make it grunge. Now, you could also, which I may do, you could spray this with coffee. The only thing you want to be careful of is you don't want to spray your digitals if your printer does not set the ink so that it can't get wet. And mine does not. So anything that's a digital, I cannot spray. I mean, I could, but it's going to turn a real funky purple color. I don't particularly want that. But if you have papers that are not digitals, like the Tim Holtz papers, you could definitely spray those. You could also use your oxide inks and then spray them with water. My foam is tearing. It's about had it on this. Also, I wanted to apologize for my camera, my filming. I discovered that my arm is losing, not my arms, the camera arm, is losing its mojo, and it's creeping down after I start a video. I guess the springs are getting loose, or the little snaky part is losing its grip or whatever. And so it's moving on me. And so I have a new one that I have ordered, and it should be here later this week, and I will get that switched out, and hopefully that will take care of that problem. But I think what happens is I get it set up and I get it started, and then I start the video, and maybe through doing stuff like this, like inking or whatever, I'm shaking the table, and when that happens, it is making that arm kind of creep down. So, and I didn't figure that out until yesterday, because I couldn't figure out when I was uploading my videos why the shots were so much lower than when I was actually filming. Well, that's why it's creeping, because when I was working on something yesterday that I wasn't filming, I saw it kind of creep down a little bit. I was like, that would be it. Alright, now for this part, I'm going to ink it with something a little darker. I think I'm going to do ground espresso. I'm also going to cut this in a tag shape once I get it down, because I want it to look like a big, huge tag on the front of my cover. Okay. Top. Alright, so we're going to put this piece down first. Yep. Alright, so let's do that. So what about you guys? Do abandoned houses make you all curious? They do me. I just love to be driving along, you know, and see one, and just my mind starts to wonder. Because I guess the thing is that, you know, you wonder, why is it abandoned? You know, why did somebody not take care of it? Or, you know, somebody down the road, you know, were they the last in their family, and so nobody is left to take care of it or to want it? It's kind of sad if you think about it. I should have thought more about how I had this before. I mean, I know I had the newspaper first. Let's do that side first. I found a really cool poem too about abandoned houses that I'm going to put inside this journal. This is my I don't want to do everything Christmas, so I'm doing something else in between journal, so I don't burn myself out on Christmas. Although I'm thoroughly enjoying the Christmas one I'm doing right now, I just feel like that if I do this early, which is not too terribly early, but I feel like that if I just do Christmas this early, that I'm going to burn myself out, and I don't want to do that, because I love Christmas. I want to enjoy it. I'm picking at these edges, kind of making them curl up, because, you know, you can never have too much grunge, in my opinion. And I don't know if grunge is really the right word. You know, I feel like it's more like character. Don't you think? I think we should trade in the word grunge for character. Okay, so there's that one. And then I want to put some of this one. Nope, I would probably lay flat because I've got this piece. Maybe I want to put this piece down here. Make this more pointy. Maybe even kind of roll it up. You see, I'm just taking the end and kind of rolling it like that. Okay, so that one I want there. Now I'm gonna switch over to art glitter glue so that I can glue down without moving stuff. And that's a lot easier to do with art glitter glue. Okay, and then we'll put this one on there. And flip it over so I can get to this side. Grunge this up just a little bit. All right, now let's work on the other side. All right, so first we would have the newspaper, and I think I'm going to put it just down here or up here, because I really want some of that. Of course, I don't know if it'll show once I do the rest of the stuff anyway. I was thinking I really wanted some of this to show, but I don't think it's going to show anyway by the time I get everything else on here. So if I put this piece here, I could rip that a little narrower. Could have decided that before I did all that inking too, right? Okay, and then this is the next layer. And then we this one. And then we have our newspaper. Perfect. Okay, so this needs to go here. Then this needs to go here. I won't put them back in the same order because there's just, I won't remember what I did. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue them to each other. Oh, yeah, that worked. Now I can glue There we go. Roll up some edges. I'm pretty happy with that. Trim around this. I'm gonna rough up this side. Where's my little, like, you know where my little rough up thing is. You don't know that, do you? You can't find it for me. I wish you could, because I'm not seeing it. All right, let's use the scissors. You can also use your little sanding disc if you have one of those Tim Holtz sanding discs. It'll also work well. Okay, now let's ink around that. I do have one of those as well. I know where it is. I thought about it after I had the scissors out, so. Alright, so there is our background. It is still quite wet, but there it is nonetheless. And I think what we could do is probably put some splatters on there in a couple of places. And a block here. I don't even know if it'll stick to a block. This poor thing has had it pretty rough. And I'm gonna get my Archival Coffee permanent ink. And ink this up. Just kind of randomly. You're not going to be able to see it a whole lot on this paper, but I'm going for subtle. Yep. Alright, so we're getting grungy. So now what we're going to do is work on our focal points. The first thing that I have is I have this little couple, because in my mind, in our little abandoned house, this little couple lived there together happily forever and ever. Amen. So this is a digital from Luiseheinzl, and the little slide frame is from Tim Holtz Chapter 3 release. And I just, cut it out. But obviously this is way too new looking, so we do need to do our grunge thing. And so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my coffee little mixture, and I'm going to spray that on here, and we'll dry it real quick. I'm not going to suck it down a whole lot. Just want to give it a little bit of a grunge. And it'll also kind of make it crunchy. And don't worry about it rolling up, because paper has no memory, so it will go right back to, you'll be able to flatten it back out. Okay, and you can see that just gave it a subtle grunge. There's some grunge there, but that's still not dark enough for me. And so I am going to take my vintage photo and I'm going to put it on this block. And then I'm going to squirt some water on the block. And then I'm going to let this drip. Okay. Sorry, I was looking for my little wipe you off cloth. Oh, I can even do that. Kind of smush it in a little bit. Alright, so let's try that. Let's see what kind of grunge we got now. Okay, that's kind of weird looking. So we're just going to keep working on it until we get what we want. It kind of looks like some kind of leopard spots or something right now. So I'm going to take the ground espresso, kind of go around all the edges. And I'm thinking I want, because that wallpaper has kind of that reddish tone to it, that I might want a little bit of the reddish tone on here. And maybe we'll use like aged mahogany or something. Okay, we're getting a little grungier. Alright, so here is our topper. Let's see. Let's put our picture in there. Well, it looks pretty good. And I'm going to put 4 little brads in the corners. And I'm going to use little bitty ones, I believe. If I can find 4 that are the same color, that will be the ticket, because, you know, I just dumped them all in here together. which probably was not the most brilliant idea. Okay, I think all four of those are the same. Okay, so I'm going to glue it together first. And then we'll put the brads in. Okay, I think they are just the most darling little couple. It just makes me smile. Oops. Glue seepage. And that one is definitely a different color. Note to self, dig out your brads before you start your project. Or separate all these out. Yeah, because that's going to happen. Sounds like a job for my granddaughter. She loves doing stuff like that. Crazy. Crazy girl. Okay. We may have to cut the legs off these, but that's okay. We can do that. Got ink all over me now. I gotta be real careful because this is still a little damp and I don't want to rip it. I thought about putting vellum or something behind this, and everything that I tried, I felt like you couldn't see the image well enough, and I did not want to use like acetate because I felt like that was going to look too new. So I just left it. may end up being a two-parter, guys. Okay. So there's that. Here's our abandoned home. I'm going to ink around this. This is the digital, and I believe it's SweetPeaCuriosities. I will link it in the description box, but it's a digital that has all these abandoned houses and barns and stuff, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And I'm going to tear it up a little bit. Okay, so our little house is gonna go on here. And our little people are gonna go somewhere that I don't know at the moment, but the house is the main focus. And then I've got little quilt pieces that I'm gonna try to incorporate. And I've got some lace. And I've got this to kind of represent lace curtains or a tablecloth. I've got some fabric, more quilt fabric. So I'm going to try to figure out. This is from an apron. This is from a quilt. This kind of paisley looking stuff. Do I want it to go along the bottom? I've also got some cheesecloth that has been tea-dyed. Okay, I've got a paper clip that I'm going to put on here. I've also got a old receipt and a letter. And I don't have to use all of this on the cover. I just grabbed some stuff that I thought might work, and we'll just see where it goes. And I'm wondering, do I want to, what I may want to do is do a pocket with this on it, and then stick these things down in it. So that you can take them out and look at them if you want to. Because I also have this little key and tag. It's like a rusty key and a tag. Because I feel like, you know, that would be something that you would find as a key that you didn't know what it went to. Here's another. This is a different digital, but I love this one too. And I will link both of these in the description box. And then I'm going to put this up here because, like I said, it is going to look like a tag. And what else do we want to do? Let me check my time. Okay, we're going to have to call this a video because we're running out of time. I will make a part 2 and we'll finish this up. And I hope you guys are enjoying it so far. Let me know what you think. And we will continue and in the next video and hopefully get our cover put together. I think it's going to look really cute. And we can probably put some stuff, you know, on the outside of that as well. Maybe that's where we can do like the letter or something. That would be kind of cool. Yep. So there we go. Thanks for joining me. And look, I found this little teddy bear. This is in the Luiseheinzl digital as well. And I'm going to put it, I think, on the inside. Because he looks like he's just been abandoned, doesn't he? So anyway, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about abandoned houses. You know, they intrigue me very much. And let me know if you've ever gone into one. That would be really cool to hear as well. So until the next video, everybody stay healthy and stay safe. And I will see you guys soon. Bye.